happy travelers!
We just got back from an incredible vacation in Fiji.
Fiji is a bucket list destination in the South Pacific. We were lucky enough a few years ago to also go to a bucket list destination in the South Pacific, Bora Bora.
When planning a bucket list trip like this, you might find yourself asking which island is better, Fiji or Bora Bora, and that's what this video is all about. We're going to break this video down into different categories and compare the pros and cons of each destination. Let's start with the first category, which is location.
Fiji and Bora Bora are both located in the South Pacific. The flight times from the west coast of the United States are pretty similar, with a direct flight from LA to Fiji being 10 hours and a direct flight from LA to Tahiti being 8 hours.
That being said, if you're coming from North America, there are actually quite a few more flights flying to Tahiti. Whereas if you're flying in from Australia or New Zealand, there's quite a few more flights to Fiji.
French Polynesia and Fiji both have similar weather since they are sort of on the same latitude. So their low seasons are going to be November to March. Those are the monsoon seasons, and any other time is going to be a little bit drier than that.
Let's talk about the culture of both of these islands. As both islands are in the South Pacific, they both have a Polynesian culture.
Culture in Fiji was something that surprised us a little bit, as we expected the Polynesian culture in French Polynesia / Bora Bora, and we definitely got a lot of that, but it was more subtle in Fiji. The biggest difference is that Fiji was actually colonized by the British, and French Polynesia, as it sounds, was colonized by France, so you'll find much more French influence in French Polynesia / Bora Bora, British influence in Fiji.
When Fiji was under British rule, they brought in lots of people from India to work on the sugarcane plantations. So there's actually a very big influence of India in Fiji. And that was something that we weren't really expecting.
Kind of reminded us more of the Maldivian culture rather than the Polynesian culture.
If you like Indian food, that's a definite bonus for Fiji. However, you have to be a little careful with that Indian culture, and I learned that the hard way. Fijians like their spicy peppers. Don't know why, but I didn't think that spicy peppers would be a thing in a tropical destination, and without thinking it, I ate a Fijian bongo pepper. It was an emergency for about 10 minutes. Looking back at it now, it was really dumb for me just to pop some random pepper into my mouth. I really didn't think that it would be as spicy as it was, but a Fijian bongo pepper is like up there on the Scoville level. Like, it is really, really hot. So if you like super spicy food, the Fijians have something for you.
I don't think either of us would do very well on an episode of Hot Ones.
No, I don't think so.
Definitely not.
Obviously, being island nations, there's going to be a lot of seafood, fresh fish caught daily. Both Fiji and Bora Bora have their own versions of a ceviche with coconut milk. In Bora Bora, it is called poisson cru. In Fiji, it is called kokoda. Those dishes are actually quite similar. Pretty much coconut milk, white fish, and some raw veggies.
So we've been using Bora Bora and French Polynesia a little interchangeably, but mostly we're just talking about Bora Bora because that is like the bucket list place that people want to go. When we talk more about food in Bora Bora, you can't really much get off of the little islands that the resorts are on. If you're going to Bora Bora, chances are you're going to stay at a luxury resort. You might get onto the main island at some point for a meal, but you have to take a boat back and forth, so probably you're going to be staying on your little island, and that's where you're going to be eating most, if not all, of your food. The resort food there was extremely expensive. We're talking $40, $45 cheeseburgers. Now in Fiji, obviously, there are lots of islands, and the main island is really big. You can find a lot more budget food, you can find fine dining, but we also stayed at some resorts, and we found that the resort food was much less expensive in Fiji than it was in Bora Bora. So just keep that in mind if you want to go to any of the nice resorts in Bora Bora, that you will be paying a huge premium for food. Our next section is accommodation.
When you think of Bora Bora, you're automatically going to think about those luxury overwater bungalows. To be honest, most of the accommodations are those really nice high-end luxury resorts.
Bora Bora is a main island and then lots of little what they call motus, or small islands around the lagoon, which is where those luxury resorts are. The main island is pretty small, and that's where you'll find a few of those Airbnbs and maybe small boutique hotels, but mainly Bora Bora, like I said, is about those big luxury resorts. Which was no different for us. We stayed at the Conrad Bora Bora and had a fantastic time.
Fiji, on the other hand, has a ton of different options when it comes to accommodation. you're gonna find a bunch of different chain hotels all throughout the main island and the smaller islands around Fiji. If you wanna do a budget accommodation like an Airbnb, you have a ton of options to do that, and you can really book whatever you want. If you wanna stay in that resort that's $600 to $1,000 a night, there's options for that, but there's also options for guest houses where you can get on a remote island, stay with a local family that is extremely affordable, and it just depends what type of experience you're looking for.
You can go Robinson Crusoe or you can go Kardashian. It really runs the gamut there.
That's a good way to put it. If you are looking for that awesome overwater bungalow, there are a couple options to do that in Fiji, but it's not nearly as much as you're gonna find in Bora Bora. Our next section is transportation.
So Bora Bora is all about boats, boats, boats. Even from the airport, you take a boat. You can take a boat to the main island because the airport's on its own island, or you take a boat directly to your resort. I'm not even sure if they have rental cars, but cars aren't really a big thing in Bora Bora. So not much options in terms of exploring on your own.
When it comes to Fiji, there's a lot more options. Most likely, you'll be flying into the airport in Nadi, and from there you can rent a car and explore the main island all by yourself. Or you can take taxis or buses to get around wherever you need to go.
The main island is really big and there's a lot to see. You can spend your entire time on the main island and probably not see all of it. But there are a lot of outer islands. You can be bougie and take a helicopter, you can take a private speedboat, or you can take the public ferry.
Ferry prices are quite expensive. $380 round trip to go out to the Mamanukas.
Mainly just because you have to go back to the main island every time. You can't really go from small island to small island unless you book something private. Now let's talk about one of my favorite topics, beaches.
Bora Bora is all about the pristine waters and the beaches.
It's basically a postcard. It's one of those places where you have high expectations and you go and all of your expectations are met. The water is crystal clear and bright blue. The beaches are perfect, mainly because they're maintained by the resorts. If you have a 5-star resort, you want a 5-star beach.
Fiji also has incredibly clear blue water, but it's a little harder to find that super picturesque beach on the main island of Fiji. We did stay at the Intercontinental Fiji during our time. That's located on Nadadola Beach, which is said to be the best beach on the island of Vitulevu. And it was beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't the same as the beaches in Bora Bora.
If you want some of those more unspoiled, untouched beaches, you're gonna have to go to some of the outer islands in Fiji. But that's not to say that Fiji didn't have nice beaches. They were just a little harder to find and they were a little more authentic and kind of local, kind of wild. It's mainly private versus public. All the beaches in Fiji are public, even the really nice one in front of the Intercontinental, and the beaches in front of the resorts in Bora Bora are private.
If you are in Fiji and you want to get to one of those pristine beaches, consider visiting a beach club for the day. One of the most popular beach clubs is called Mala Mala. They do tours there every single day, and that's where you're gonna find that super white sand, iconic postcard looking beach in Fiji.
And there are a few other popular beach clubs like that as well, so you can make a day out of it and go to one of those really nice beaches. You'll just have to kind of go off of the main island. One of the main differences that I saw in Bora Bora versus Fiji was the sea life. Now in Bora Bora, just from the beach, you could spot stingrays and reef sharks and all kinds of different fish. There was less of that in Fiji. The snorkeling was still very good, but I would say Bora Bora is the best snorkeling we've ever done.
We were able to swim with sharks in Bora Bora. That's something I'm never gonna forget.
As I said, snorkeling in Fiji was still good, but it didn't have quite as many of those larger animals that you'd see.
Yeah, it wasn't the wow factor that Bora Bora has.
Yeah. During some times of the year, off of some of the islands, you can go scuba diving with manta rays in Fiji. Not a lot of the stingrays and the sharks that you'd see in those other places like in French Polynesia.
For our next category, we're going to talk about all the things to do in Fiji and Bora Bora.
I think this is one category where Fiji has Bora Bora beat.
I would agree. Fiji has a wide variety of things to do. Pretty much any water activity that you want to do, you can do in Fiji, whether it's parasailing, surfing, fishing, scuba diving.
Surprisingly, even on some of the islands, you can do whitewater rafting, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's mind-blowing. When you think of a tropical island, you don't think whitewater rafting. You're also gonna find options to go bathing in mud volcanoes. You can take ATV tours. Another big thing to do in Fiji is go to a floating restaurant or a floating day club. They have a couple different ones that are available where you will take a boat out to the middle of the ocean, usually in the Mamanuka Islands.
In Bora Bora, it's mainly about relaxation. As we said, it's the luxury of the resorts. You're paying a lot to stay at these resorts, so you're gonna wanna enjoy the resort and water activities. Bora Bora is about the lagoon. It's gorgeous, picturesque. You wanna be out there kayaking, paddleboarding, snorkeling, doing all the water activities that you can do right from your resort. There are a few options on the main island to do a couple of ATV tours, and I think maybe there's a World War II history tour that you can do, but you have to make your way out to the main island, which is a little bit of a hassle, so.
And for us, when we went to Bora Bora, we didn't want to leave the resort. It was so beautiful and fantastic there. Once we were there, we just wanted to spend all of our time. And I feel like that's the case with most travelers, whereas in Fiji, you're taking those day tours all the time. You're gonna be traveling on your own a little bit maybe. Like there's just a lot more option to kind of go and make your own itinerary, where in Bora Bora, it's all about the resort life. So we've done this in a few of our other comparison videos before, but when we wrap this up, we like to both write down on a piece of paper which one we would choose as our favorite without each other knowing, and then we'll reveal them at the same time.
Okay, should I write it first?
Yeah, you write it down, I won't look.
Okay, I'm not listening.
Are you ready?
Yes.
We're gonna go on 3.
Okay.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
I don't know what you wrote. Can't decide.
Bora Bora!
Bora Bora!
I originally wanted to go for Bora Bora. That was an incredible destination. It was where we went on our honeymoon. I have nothing but fond memories of that. But just the amount of different activities that we did in Fiji, all that it has to offer, really made it difficult. The day tour that we did in Fiji was like one of the coolest travel days I think I've ever had. We went to this insane sandbar. We went to see the Castaway Island. That was super, super cool.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed being able to do a little bit of traveling on our own. It just had so much to offer. But Bora Bora was that iconic room, which was one of my favorite places I've ever stayed. Snorkeling with the sharks in Bora Bora is something I'm never gonna forget. That was insane. But yeah, I really just couldn't decide.
Fiji was incredible, and I highly recommend going there. But Bora Bora, ever since we went there, I've had a hard time coming up with a top bucket list place, because that was my ultimate place, staying in an overwater bungalow in Bora Bora, and it was as good or better than I ever thought. So I just have a hard time topping Bora Bora. But Fiji was incredible. Really, really was.
We would go back to each destination in a heartbeat.
100%. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments.
And also, if you want to do some more travel planning, you can go back and check out all the videos we made from French Polynesia and all the videos that we made in Fiji. We have playlists of both of those.
This is Kelly and Kevin from the Awkward Tourists. Peace out. I forgot what I was supposed to say already.
To both areas, because they are both part of that South Pacific Oceania area. Oceania? Oceania.
Our next section is accommodation. As for time of years, which, oh my God, I can't talk.